Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat, and today I'm doing my June wrap-up part 2. I cannot believe that we're already done with June. That seems insane to me. It is definitely not at all summer weather here in Australia. It is kind of cold and yucky and miserable, and I realized that if I want to start doing weekly wrap-ups, then I need to get up my June wrap-up part 2 so that this Friday I can do a weekly wrap-up, which is really fast, but I think that would be better because, again, this wrap-up has 9 books, the previous wrap-up had like 16 books, so if I break it down into weeks, then I can wrap up like 4 to 5 books a week, which I think would allow me to give you guys a better idea of the books, so I'm not trying to rush through them. I'm gonna wrap up 9 books today, so let's just go ahead and start off with my only DNF, and it is Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. Now, this one, I think the reason why it is a DNF for me is that my expectations were so different than reality. So I heard about this as a queer coming of age where a young girl grows up in a very religious English family, and she discovers that she likes other women. Now, what I didn't realize was that the majority of this novel would be her childhood before that realization. So, for instance, I read half of the book, so this much, and there's no mention of other women or even like any feelings of sexuality at all yet. It's still more discussing growing up in a working class religious family. So that's just not something that I'm super keen on. Like, I think slice of life usually isn't necessarily my personal cup of tea. So I was trying to make myself, like, force myself to read this. And I started this book at the beginning of June, and I have only read halfway through by the end of June, and I've read like 25 books around this book. So I think I'm just gonna like put it down and DNF it for now. I have 2 3-star reads for this month. The first one is How to Be a Normal Person by TJ Klune. I read this during the Romance-a-thon, and it was good. I liked the 2 main characters. So the character that you're following around, he owns a video store and he has an albino pet ferret, and he doesn't really understand like social cues. He's kind of a curmudgeon, like a beloved curmudgeon, where his best friends are the woman who owns the bakery near his house and also these 3 women that are like a Vespa gang that kind of take him under their wing. The bakery owner invites her nephew to come stay for the summer. He is a asexual hipster writer. They kind of develop a relationship, and I loved how their relationship played out. I love the main characters themselves, and I love the setting as well. I just hated some of the writing techniques where, like, for instance, when they have their final scene where they're like confessing like how they like each other, all of the other people are hiding behind like another door and they're relaying the information like verbally, like, I can't believe he said that, or like, oh my god, or like, get it. And I'm like, I don't know, I just really don't like that. Like, I wish it had just been the moment between them rather than it being relayed through these secondary characters which aren't part of the scene. I give it 3 stars, which is not a bad rating at all. It's just surprising because the other 3 books that I've read by TJ Klune were 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars, and 5 stars. So yeah, it's a little low for Klune, but I will continue to read him, obviously. The other 3-star book is The Cybernetic Tea Shop by Meredith Katz. Now, in this one, we are following a main character who is an AI engineer, basically where there are robots which are kind of like companion robots. They're called raises, and she specializes in maintenance and programming of raise robots. And the type of robot that has kind of been outlawed and discontinued are the fully autonomous robots. And when she moves to a new town, because she's kind of a drifter, she learns about a tea shop which is run by a fully autonomous robot. and she goes for tea there, and then she kind of develops a relationship with the owner. And I loved the premise of it. I just thought it was too short, really rushed, and we didn't get enough backstory for either of the main characters for me to truly feel that strongly about either one of them. So that's why I gave it 3 stars. Not that it wasn't an amazing idea, and not that I had any problem with the writing whatsoever. It's just that I really wish it had been longer. Yeah, so I thought that one was a little too short for my liking. Okay, and next up is a 3.5 star, which is Cinderella by S.T. Lynn. And this is a Cinderella retelling with a twist because Ella is transgender. And if you know the story of Cinderella, her real father dies and she's left in the care of her evil stepmother and stepsisters who refuse to use the name and the pronouns that she would like and instead call her by Cole. Until one day when the princess rolls by in her carriage, takes note of Ella, and invites her to the ball. So this was really sweet, and I just wish there was more, and also it was just missing something a little extra for me. So I think that if you like retellings, especially this one with that kind of twist, I've never read about it before, where Ella is transgender and also a person of color, and also it's not a prince but a princess. So there's a lot going on, which is just amazing rep to see in a fairy tale retelling. So the second half of June was pretty good for reading. I had 5 4-star reads, which is pretty good. The first 4-star I want to talk about is Brierley, which is a World War II male-male Beauty and the Beast retelling. And one of the strongest points about this retelling that I really loved was just how much the World War II aspects were interwoven into the narrative. It was really cool. So we're following a pastor who goes missing when he's biking home. He decided to stop off and snip a rose from an estate nearby to take home to his daughter, who is named Rose and is a war nurse. But when he clips the rose, a beast comes down in the form of a dragon, scoops him up and takes him back to the cursed castle. And so the story is between the pastor and the cursed beast, which is a dragon. And what develops is the story between the dragon, who he was cursed in the 1840s when homosexuality was a great sin, and he has lost all hope of ever finding someone to break the curse because he hasn't even been open about his own preferences and his own sexuality until he meets the pastor, who has struggled with that himself, but is slightly more accepted by society because it's the 1940s. So I give it 4 stars because it was just really good. I think that if it had been a full-length book, I could have easily given it 4.5 or 5 stars. So if that sounds interesting to you, do check it out. I really recommend it. The next book I want to talk about is The Music of What Happens by Bill Konigsberg. So in this one, we are following 2 boys who are working a food truck together during a summer. So this book is really sweet for about 3/4 of the novel, and then the last quarter deals with some very intense and very kind of adult topics. Trigger warnings for rape and also parental abuse and neglect. I gave it 4 stars because I really loved the developing relationship and how the really dark aspects were handled by not only the younger people within the story, but also the adults. I think the reason it doesn't get any higher than 4 is because also I would have liked to see the ending a bit longer than it was. I think that often, I think with Konigsberg, from having read another of his novels, the ending will happen and then there's not enough time to fully explore the implications of what just happened. And I wish that there was like an extra just 20 pages just to get a little more about how it impacts the characters. But if you like food truck novels and you like kind of a summer read, then this might be for you. Just be aware of the darker content. So another 4-star read I had was Birthday by Meredith Russo. And in this one, we are following 2 friends throughout the course of 6 years, and we get snapshots of them during their birthday, which is like the same day. So 6 years, 6 birthdays, and how their relationship develops. So when they're starting out, both boys are trying to decide how they want to grow up and who they're going to be within society. So one boy is really struggling with fitting in to kind of the idea of the ideal man and not letting down his parents, and the other character knows that they are meant to be female and the struggles with that. For me, I really wanted this to be like 4.5, 5 star, but the last instance was just so too neatly wrapped up that I don't know, it just, the first 5 birthdays had so much nuance and so many different things occurring within each birthday, like so many different feelings for each character, good and painful, and like really just a lot of changes happening for each of the main characters. And then the last birthday was just too neatly wrapped up for my liking. So that's why it gets 4 stars from me. I do highly recommend it. It has great queer rep and also trans rep, and just good. Very good. So the next 4-star book I want to talk about is Girl Man's Up by M.E. Girard. So this one I picked up from my local library. I saw it on the shelf and thought it was really interesting because I've never read a book like this before, where we are following a main character whose name is Pen. She is really struggling because she just doesn't really gel with anything that's considered like very girly. So like any sort of like dresses or heels or tight-fitting clothes or makeup or like doing her hair, she just doesn't care, she doesn't like it. Instead, she prefers jeans and combat boots and like a t-shirt, or stealing her brother's clothes, having like a shaved head or a faux hawk, no makeup, and she doesn't like the feminine aspects of her body, but she does not wish for surgery, and she doesn't want to be a boy, if that makes sense. So I think that this novel is one of the first novels ever which you cannot put it in a box. Like, Pen defies any sort of categorization. So she is a woman, but she doesn't like a lot of the aspects about herself that make her appear feminine, and it's interesting to see it play out with her family, with her brother, with her friends, with potential love interests, and this is all compounded on the fact that she is a proud lesbian, and her family is very, very conservative. Conservative Filipino, I want to say. And it just had a lot of aspects in it that I think were really amazing. Which is why it won the Lambda Literary Awards. It was the winner, and it was a finalist for the William C. Morris Debut Award. So if you are looking for a book that explores the nuance between being male, female, non-binary, kind of a gray area, but like someone who doesn't perfectly fit into any of those categorizations, I really recommend this. This was really good. I would give this like a 4+, like a 4.25 almost. I thought it was really good, and one of my favorite aspects was Pen's relationship with her brother. I just love him, and I want to give him all the hugs in the world, and like, yeah, it was just great to see. So Girl Man's Up by M.E. Girard. Highly, highly recommend. Okay. And my top 4-star read of the month, which again is like a 4+, 4.25 read, is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I'm sure that you probably know about this book because it is kind of everywhere. We are following the son of the first female president, who really, really hates the prince of the Queen of England. And when they are at a function together, they get into kind of a kerfuffle, tip over a cake, and everyone is convinced they hate each other. But to avoid that PR scandal, the crown and the president decide to have them meet up and pretend to be friends. And then an adorable relationship ensues. However, there are a few things to just say about the book in general. One is that there is quite a lot of discussion about politics, especially US politics, because the president is up for re-election, so it is during her campaign. And I'm not really a fan of politics. However, I will say that I did not mind hearing about this campaign because it's really hopeful for queer people and for the first female president and for just a more accepting America in general. The other thing that I want to say is that this had absolutely adorable banter and interactions between the two main characters. So yeah, I really loved it. It was so good. Yeah, I really recommend it so much. It was great. This wraps up my June wrap-up part 2. I will be getting this up soon. So I think this week it will be June wrap-up part 1, part 2, and then probably end of the week wrap-up, which is gonna be a bunch of books that I've read in the beginning of July. I can't believe it's July. Yeah, so anyway, I am off to the library right now to drop this back, and then pick up 6 new books, which I cannot wait to get to. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm really excited. So I hope that you're having a fabulous day. I'm having a great day. I hope that you're having a great day. And yeah, that you read a lot of books. Have a great Tuesday, although this will not be Tuesday when it goes up, but have a great week. And thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later. Bye!